Good morning, welcome to GrainTV. It's September 4th, 2012. To my left is Logan Burgess and I'm Brock and Logan. The grains are stronger after the overnight session. Let's take a look at the live quotes from FireTip, see what's happening in Chicago. Looks like corn's up pretty strongly, soybeans up, leader to the upside, up about 25 cents. Wheat in Chicago and Kansas City both up strongly this morning, up over 10 cents. You know, a couple things I think that were driving the markets in the overnight session. We saw Japan actually make a large purchase of corn from the United States for 13-14 delivery. Made a purchase of 180,000 metric tons. I think some funds are starting to get in here at the beginning of the month again as we start this new month, a new marketing year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think some other information spurred the soybean market quite a bit higher. There's still some production concerns there. There was an interesting trade in the overnight session. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart for soybeans and see what happened.
Yeah, Brock, if we move over here to a 15-minute candlestick chart for this November soybean contract, as you can see here, coming off the heels of this long 3-day weekend, we opened up trade yesterday evening, 7 p.m. Central Time. As you can see, we gapped higher here quite strongly. We proceeded to move higher, actually printed new contract highs here around 1790. We drifted lower, and a lot of times when on chart landscape, when you have a gap like this, people look for those gaps to be filled. That would imply that this trade could move lower and maybe find some resistance around here. This happened to coincide, though, with the open of the pit session this morning, and we did see some buyers come into this market. So actually, we weren't able to move down below there and actually fill that gap. Right now, we're moving higher. It'll be interesting to see if we can retest those highs from the overnight session as the trade continues. We'll be tweeting about these markets as they trade live at GrainTV, so where you can find us if you need to go out and work in the fields here. One thing that people were watching this morning closely, though, was yield expectations from Allendale. They did release those here this morning, and if we take a look, they're looking for 118.2 bushels per acre out of this corn crop, 34.9 bushels per acre out of the soybean crop. As you can see here, how this relates to what Pro Farmer said out of their Midwest crop tour and the USDA out of their August report, very in line with what Pro Farmer is looking for in terms of soybeans. Came in slightly lower than what Pro Farmer is looking for out of the corn crop. You know, the market's expecting clearly a revision lower in the September report here. That's going to be coming up on September 12th here, so that's a good date to put on your calendar there. You know, really though, I think a lot of the market wouldn't be surprised to see a sub 120 yield out of this corn crop. Allendale is certainly given early indications that that could be in the cards here. But on GrainTV, we'll keep you posted as far as what the market expectations are coming into that report. One more important thing to keep an eye on out of that September 12th WASDE report is any supply and demand changes on the world front. Brock, I know you looked into that a little bit here this morning. What are we kind of looking at there?
Yeah, you know, I think this is going to be a big concern, especially for soybeans. Solaris came out this morning and they said they're going to leave the projected planted acreage and production for Brazil exactly the same as what they had previously. They have about an 8% increase on planted acreage and they have about an 18% increase on production over last year. If they do plant those acres and get a pretty decent crop, they're going to be looking at about 78 million metric ton harvest, which would be larger than what we had this year in the United States. So that'll actually put them into the #1 slot as the #1 country for soybean production.
Right.
Another country came out this morning, Russia, and said that their harvest is pretty disappointing as of their progress so far. They're about 65% complete on their harvest. Yields are about 27% below where they were last year. So this would continue to be a concern for the market. Is there going to be any export tariffs out of Russia? Is there going to be any export bans? So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on as they finish up their harvest over there.
Certainly. We'll keep an eye on that here on GrainTV. This afternoon we will be getting the crop progress and condition report. We'll be tweeting about that when it comes out at GrainTV is where you can find us. I think that kind of wraps up our show here for Tuesday morning. Brock, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.